Okay. Number one, keep commitments to yourself. It sounds really simple, and it doesn't. When I first heard that, I was like, keeping commitments to myself. That's going to help me have more integrity. Really? But as you keep and make commitments to yourself, you start building the capacity to making even more commitments to yourself and others. Right? Just for example. I struggle with this one the most. I care more about other people. I don't care so much about me, but so I tend to just flake on myself. But I've been telling myself I'm gonna wake up at 6 every morning and be productive, right? And what happens as I keep making these commitments, I'm like, oh wow, I woke up at 6 today, did all this work for a day, and then next day I did the same thing, and you start trusting yourself. Right? This is important because if you can't trust yourself, who's going to trust you? Right? You can fake it until you make it, but I'm going to tell you right now, it takes just as much work to fake it than to make it, right? So what's the point, right? So there's a lot of different layers of trust. It starts with self-trust, relationship trust, organizational trust, societal trust, and then ultimately universal trust, right? So by just keeping commitments to yourself, it's amazing the confidence that you'll breed within yourself, and people will start looking at you and they'll start making these commitments. It just goes, right? So number 2 is stand for something. Just stand for something, right? If you don't stand for something, how are people going to know what you stand for, and how are they going to look at you, right? You can't. It's just the way it is, right? So Thomas Jefferson once said, in matters of style, swim with the stream. In matters of principle, stand like a rock, right? So if you don't have principles to stand on, how are people going to know what you stand for? You just need a core, so people can look at you and say, wow, that guy is awesome, he stands for this, or she's awesome, she stands for this, right? So what I've come to realize is it's much easier to make decisions when you know what you stand for, right? There are a lot of examples where I've been kind of on the gray line and I'm just like, I don't know if I should do this or that. Then you look at your principles, and it's much easier when you know what you stand for to make the right decision, right? It's much easier. So lastly, the third way is also pretty profound, but pretty simple, and it's pretty interesting. I think in my experience here with successful thinkers, I think a lot of you guys do this, and you guys do it well. And it's be open, right? Have you guys ever been around someone who's closed-minded? They think there's nothing you could say that would change their mind. They're not willing to change their frame of thought, right? Ask yourself, when you're around this person, how did it affect your ability to relate to that person? Right? It's like, I don't know if I like this guy. I don't know if I trust this guy. Right? How did it really change your ability to trust him? Right? Is this someone you trusted when they were very close-minded? I don't know, but I just read it in a book, so I think it works, and I think that's a big reason why people have trusted me over the years, is because I am open, right? So yeah, that's pretty much all I have today. I do want to talk about intent next time. I think intent is a huge piece of character, as I've just said. But I encourage you all to teach this to someone else, because that's where learning really happens, right? There's 3 simple ways of learning, and that's audio, visual, and kinetic. That's why a lot of people make you high-five each other and say, congruence, integrity, right? But I think the best way to learn something is to teach it. So if you found it valuable, definitely, go to your neighbor, go to your friend, your son, your kids, whoever, and teach it to someone. And also, I want you guys to really think, when you have a decision, ask yourself, right? Is my action going to generate credibility and trust? Or quite the opposite? right? And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm going to end on one final quote, and I'll hand it off to Michael. So some famous war general, I can't even pronounce his name, so I'm not going to say it. He said, if someone cannot change the very fabric of his own mind, he will never be able to change reality, and therefore not make any progress. Right? Thank you all.
Thank you.